What is the accessible alternative to electricity and oil for the everyday users and businesses? Our short-term goal isn't necessarily to have a complete transformation from fossil fuel-driven resources to a more sustainable one. We believe that the best way to make people make conscientious decisions about their uses and facilitate a change in behaviour and thoughts is to make people accountable for their consumption. We want to avoid future issues like a lack of resources, excessive pollution and waste going into our ecosystem, and ultimately what we're all afraid of, global warming. Our consumption of electricity, CO2 and oil is driven by a lack of alternatives, a lack of accountability, a lack of care and a lack of awareness. Ultimately, we believe by making people aware of the implications their small decisions have on our world as a whole, making people aware of the cumulative power of a collective effort to reduce waste and consumption is the first effort in breaking down negative consumptive.
Consumption is a worldwide issue. As you can tell from this graph, overconsumption at this rate is going to be an ongoing trend unless we step in and do something about it.
Goal 12. Ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. Sustainable consumption and production is about promoting resource and energy efficiency. Sustainable consumption and production aims at doing more and better with less, awareness raising and education on sustainable consumption and lifestyles. Our app specifically targets sustainable consumption, making communities and individuals aware of how their consumption is affecting the environment and how they can help the global effort against climate change through their individual reduction in consumption, with map views allowing them to visualize the collective effort within the app.
Our app, Zero Waste, will give the user the opportunity to not only gain an education on energy consumption, but also gain tips on areas where energy can be saved. And finally, it gives you the opportunity to compare the rates of your suburb to all others around the city, holding not only yourself, but your whole suburb accountable.
A big issue in individuals making an effort against climate change is that the problem seems too big. People don't know what they can realistically do to help. Switching the light off and using public transport instead of driving doesn't seem to people like it's making a huge difference. Our app is innovative and differs from other apps because it is aimed at making people aware that the small actions they take can make a huge difference by showing them the power of a collective movement of people making small changes. We don't want to overwhelm people with a bunch of numbers, therefore use of maps showing the comparative consumption across the neighbourhood and cities are used, making people see that the actions they're taking have a real impact by showing tips and comparisons of how many trees or wildlife they've saved by their efforts. It's a new approach that has not been taken and will educate people to think smarter about consumption. Overall, we want to make reducing consumption a more fun and inclusive endeavour.
We have two key performance indicators which we aim to measure the success of Zero Waste off. The first is of course gaining a rating in the App Store. The second, and the most important, is to produce a decrease in energy consumption trends. Once we notice a consistent drop in trends, we know we have succeeded in our overall goal, achieving responsible consumption.